Hey there and welcome. For this video, we're going to talk about how to complete a 3-read. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we need to do is actually read the question. So Mr. Judy has a gift card for $150. He buys several video games at $35 a piece. His ending gift card balance is $45. How many video games did he buy? After you read the problem for the first time, you're going to answer the question, what was the problem about? Was it about fish swimming in the ocean? Was it about turtles flying in the sky? What was the problem about? For this problem, it was about Mr. Judy buying video games with a gift card. All right, that's what we're talking about. You're going to read the problem again. And after you read it the second time, you're going to answer the question, what was the problem asking? Now, this does not mean that you take the question and you write it down word for word. We want to know in your own words, what is that problem actually asking you to find? So while the question verbatim says, how many video games did he buy? Tell me that in your own words. The question is about how many games Mr. Judy bought. Right? It's still giving me the same exact information, but I didn't write it down word for word exactly the same. This tells your teacher that you understand what the question is actually about. You're going to read it for a third time. And this third time should be the final time. If you need extra times, that's fine. But this is the final time for what we need. And after you read it, you're going to answer the question, what information will you use and what information do you need? We know that there's a $150 gift card. We know that each game was $35. And we know that there was $45 left over. We still need to know how many games he bought. Now, at this point, you have all of the information that you need. Write down your ideas. What do you think you need to do in order to find the answer? Now, there are several different ways that you can solve this problem. And we're not telling you that your way is right or your way is wrong, because there are several different ways. So long as you can get to an answer and you can justify how you got there, you're good. Right? We're not asking you guys for anything super, super hard specific. We just want you guys to write down, how do you think you're going to get there? There are so many different ways. We just want to see them. Now, this next part is to write down an equation. And this is the part that we're asking you to be a little bit more specific. Not because any other way to solve it is wrong, because that's not true, but because a lot of times on assessments that you guys are going to get later on, the question is actually going to ask you to write an equation to represent a situation. And so we need to get into the practice of writing down equations to represent our situations. We're going to also use that equation to solve the problem, the way that we're algebraically thinking here. Because remember, we're moving into algebra if we're not already there. So the equation 150 minus 35g equals 45 is the equation that we would use to represent the situation. Let me break it down for you real quick. That 150 is our starting gift card balance of $150. We're subtracting because we're spending that money. Mr. Judy's spending that money on the video games. And each game is $35. So that's where that 35 comes from. We are multiplying that 35 times G, which just represents our games that we bought. So if every game is $35, we know if there's only one game bought, only $35 was spent. There are 2 games bought. We spent 35 for one and 35 for the other, so 35 times 2 gives us 70. So we want to make sure that we multiply how many games were purchased by how much those actually cost. And then our ending gift card balance is that money left over. It's what we equal out to. We started with 150, now we're at 45. We have to figure out what was spent on the inside. So that's the breakdown of the equation here. We're going to use our skills of inverse operations to solve for G. And we have an answer. So you're going to check the key. We'll have a key for you to make sure that you're getting the correct answer. You're going to check, were you right? Did you make a mistake somewhere? If you made a mistake, that's okay, but make sure that you work on fixing it. Was it something really big, like you had absolutely no idea how to even start this problem? Or was it something really small, like you multiplied something wrong or you subtracted when you should have added, right? Just fix the mistakes and ask for help if you're struggling. The answer for this problem is that Mr. Judy bought 3 games. Now we need to remember that this is a word problem, so we understand the context of what all of these numbers actually represent, which means in our final answer, we need to have the words to represent what the number in our answer actually means. You can't just leave your answer as 3. 3 what? 3 jelly beans flew through the air? 3 hot air balloons touched down on the football field? What does the 3 represent? For this problem, the 3 represents the 3 video games that Mr. Judy bought. That final step is to analyze. What did you do that was correct or incorrect? And if you did something incorrect, how can you use that knowledge that you learned to make sure that you don't make that mistake again, so that you can do better the next time around? Right? If we're not learning from those mistakes, we're not learning. We have to make sure that we're figuring out what we're going to do to make sure that we don't do that again. And that's the process for a 3-read. While this one was for very specifically a 2-step equation, the process is still the same for multi-step equations, for probability and statistics, for geometry. You're going to read it through 3 times and you're going to answer the questions and see what you can figure out. And that's all that we've got. So until next time, I will see you later. Love you, bye.